Meet 2.0. The first two episodes that took place day before yesterday and yesterday were really appreciated by the ecosystem stakeholders. Today's episode is something that
This meeting is being recorded.
a beautiful panel with us. Now, before I introduce the panel, I would like to share with everyone that unfortunately Mr. T.R. Kesavan wouldn't be able to join us today as he suffered some health emergency and is indisposed at the moment. He's currently not well at the moment. So, without further delay, I would like to request our moderator for the day, Dr. Nejgun Hiramat, to please come to the stage. So, yeah, I would like. Hi, good afternoon.
Hi
Dr.
everyone.
Hiramat.
Hi everyone.
So, now I would like to request Mr. Mukul Varshne, who's the Director for Corporate Affairs, Media and Communications at John Deere, to please take the stage.
Thank you and very good afternoon to everyone. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. And now I would like to invite to the stage Ms. Richa Helunbeck Misri, who's the chairman of FarmDroid, Denmark.
Hi, namaskar everyone. Very nice to be able to connect with you through Pushagar. I'm looking forward to the session.
We can start the proceedings for today. Dr. Hiramat, would you please? Dr. Hiramat is the founder of Accenses or Johanna Platform Services, as we know it, and yeah, he's also one of our most well-performing startups. So, Dr. Hiramat, would you please start the proceedings for the day?
Yeah, thank you, Vikas. Thanks for a wonderful introduction for the day. And this is a wonderful afternoon today, and we have esteemed panelists from Deere and Company, Mr. Mukul, who is my ex-boss as well. So he's a wonderful personality. I have worked with him, and as well as would like to welcome Richa, who will certainly bring who operates from Denmark for that matter, and she will certainly bring a sort of international perspective how the startup ecosystem is playing out there. So welcome, Richa again, and as well as Mr. Amit Bora, as well as Anand. The two colleagues of Mr. Mukul have also joined. Welcome on board, and we'd like to have a wonderful discussion related to the farm mechanization. So in this today's discussion, we're going to talk a variety of aspects of related to the farm mechanization, like the scope of farm mechanization in India, a sort of a collaboration between the Indian startups and the industry players like the Mahindras, the Deere and the Sonalikas or the Escorts. So these are all the industry players. So is there a scope for having that kind of a collaboration like what you see in the software industries, and also the relevance of advanced technologies like the AI, ML, and the robotics, and then a variety of the topics we're going to talk today. Okay, so with this sort of a kind of a contest, I would like to start the discussions. Request all the participants to mute yourself as well as mute your video, so that we'll have a better discussion, a focused discussion, so with the panelists. And of course, I would request Mr. Mukul to have a dual role, both of Keshavan as well as Mr. Mukul, sir. So with this one, so just to set in a kind of context, the Indian tractor industry as such has contributed significantly for the advancement of Indian agriculture. And then we have all seen that one for that matter. And India stands number one in terms of the tractor industry, in terms of the volumes for that matter. So do you see the role of the startups in bringing a certain level of farm mechanization given the fact that the product development and is a long game, and also kind of a capex intensive hardware products, as well as, of course, it requires at times the embedding of the advanced technologies like the embedded technologies, the CBT technologies, whatnot. So, do you see, the scope for the startups, have a very contributing an impact in the role in the space of farm mechanization?
Yeah, Dr. Nijgun, first of all, thank you so much. And I'm really thrilled to be here. And I've actually been joined by two of my senior colleagues, Mr.
This meeting is being recorded.
Be it tractor or implements, or be it construction and forestry machines. So these two people will also be joining me. But just to give you a very quick snapshot, Dr. Nijgun, I think the tractor industry has matured very well, and today we are the world's largest tractor industry anywhere in the world. 900,000 tractors manufactured and sold in India, and another, if we put the competition together, something like 90,000 to 120,000 tractors being sold overseas. So you can imagine the capacity in India is more than 111,000 tractors put together, out of which 900,000 made and sold in India. Several years ago, I think the tractor industry, the implement industry, the academia, they all worked in isolation. And that is why there was not a great focus to see how we can bring the implements and tractors to a point where they are efficiently helping each other. So tractors were made independently, implements were made, the academia did research independently. But in the last 2 years, 3 years, I'm seeing a lot of new trend where all the stakeholders have started to come together. And not only these three, but the government has also started to partner a lot with the industry, academia, and implement manufacturers just to see how we can integrate the whole thing together to make it more efficient and meaningful for the farmers. The government's vision and mission to double the farmers' income is one step towards that. Okay. How these machineries can reduce the input cost, and how we can help them improve the productivity. So time has come where everything has started to fall together, and that will actually lead.
Good.
Yeah, so that will lead to a point where we will see more and more technologies coming in, more and more precision coming in, more and more integration coming in, and that, I would say, will pave the way for a robust and sustainable mechanization way forward for India.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Just to add to that particular, the perspective that what you have presented now. I think, if I have to reflect on my side, of course, the product development is pretty intensive, particularly in terms of its capex, as well as it's a long game. But I think, as you rightly said, the government has played a significant role in terms of bringing kind of out generating the kind of ecosystem that it requires in terms of supporting the startups, particularly in terms of providing the seed funds to the extent of 25 lakh rupees by the RKB out of that, which is where Pusa Krishi is also one of the leading institute to incubate the startups. So I think there's a lot of things are happening in the Indian ecosystem ecosystem, particularly the startup ecosystem, where I think the young and bright minds are coming in, and they are harnessing this benefit of the government policies towards developing the new technologies, which are otherwise there's been a gap. I mean, so far. I think there is a lot of things. I think personally, I feel in the next 10 years, the results would certainly be seen at a very massive scale. And I think that the rice is getting cooked up right now.
Absolutely, Dr. Nijgun. I think today the way government has encouraged startups, and we see startups in every element of the crop value chain, right from soil sciences to agronomy to pest and disease detection to market linkages to food processing. So there's startups everywhere. And some of these, and you are yourself a great example of a startup. I mean, you were with the
Yeah, you can go ahead now. Yeah.
yeah. So you were yourself with the corporates, but you
This meeting is being
So I
recorded.
think the whole ecosystem is maturing. You say 10 years. My estimate is we will be a different country in next 4 to 5 years from now.
Absolutely.
I will seek comments from my colleagues in case if they want to add something, Mr. Amit and Mr. Raj.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I completely agree. What we see is a lot of effort that even the universities are also putting. There are like various incubation centers that we are coming across. We do have, I was part of one of the competition here, which we run only to the agricultural sector, and I see lot of effort when I visited the campus. They also are generating various ideas. So it goes to from that level to the startup ideas and then solutions which are essential for the local needs, essential for the from the affordability point of view also. So yeah, I mean, we see a lot of buzz and a lot of energy that is coming in this field, and as a community, I think we should be better off as we go forward in future. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Amit. I mean, if Anand, if it's okay, I mean, I will take up the next question. So I think, the other side, I mean, there's been, it's been kind of when I meet, multiple startup, persons in the ecosystem, both the agriculture-based, startups as well as non-agriculture-based startups. What one key thing, what I see a difference is a sort of a collaboration between the industries and the startups. I mean, that seems to be pretty strong in some of the others in some of the spaces like the software industries and the other industries as well. Okay, and I'm sure there have been certain instances where there has been a kind of a collaboration effort has been made between industry, the big players of the industry and as well as the startups. But do you think that this particular this collaboration, which is very important, I believe, for mutual benefit as well as for as a nation as a whole? I think that's the way we should look for. Do you think that kind of a collaboration can happen, given the fact that the startups can come up with a lot of innovative products while they struggle in terms of scaling up, where the industries can certainly pitch in and take up to the next level, sir?
Yes, see, I think the startups need scale, and organized players, whether it's Mahindra, TAFE, John Deere, Scots, they need innovative, cost-effective solutions. And the moment they come together, you have a cost-effective solution and you have a platform to scale.
That's
So
right.
I think collaboration and industry coming together, with the startup and industry coming together is inevitable. वो एक हिंदी में कहावत है ना, हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो. You know, gone are the days. Gone are the days where people wanted to keep this together. Now I think everybody understands, and there is a environment of leveraging each other. So I think it started to happen, and Amit and Raj, both of them work on a platform where we keep seeing who are the right startups, where we can collaborate, integrate, and see that they get an opportunity to scale and we get a cost-effective and a viable solution to serve the farmers. Everybody's intent is to see how we can bring an integrated approach to the farmer so that his quality of life actually changes. And that's what we do at John Deere. So with that, I'm just passing the question again to both of my colleagues in case if they want to add anything.
So specific to future technologies, whether we see in the area of drone or we see in the area of artificial intelligence, the startups are doing the miracle. And if they want to reach out to the mass, and that is possible only if they collaborate with the companies like the agriculture equipment companies, whether John Deere or Mahindra or Claas or anyone, I don't want to put any specific name, but that will provide them the scale. And as Makul Saab said that they both need each other and both are complementary to each other. And if the second one is that I just wanted to also extend it to the academia, that if you see one example I will give you, Hisar Agriculture University, they have developed an electric tractor, and how they have come to the, and this is one thing which I want to give example, that how they have come up with the electric tractor, and they are willing to see that how they can put it into the market. So again, they want someone who can be the complementary partner for them. So this is a age where we need to go for more of collaboration rather than only being in the standalone business.
Yeah, I totally agree with your viewpoint, Anand. And then in addition to that one, I think there's one pointer I personally feel, coming from the other side of the table, being a part of the startup. I think it's also a responsibility of the startups to gain certain level of credibility. In terms of having the innovative products being worked out at the market level, the acceptance at the farmers level. I think that's pretty key point and the key milestone that one has to achieve. And given that kind of a thing, and acceptance at certain level, to certain, not great scale, but at least certain scale, early traction or more than an early traction, I think would be a key milestone one has to achieve. In terms of being considered by the big players, I would assume. I think that's a critical thing one has to achieve. Until unless we don't do that one, because it's a choice at the end of the day. They have multiple choices to consider. It's a combination. I think it's a credibility that one has to achieve from the startup side.
No, just to add, Dr. Nitin, I think one thing that differentiates is the value system. Organized players have certain legacy, there's certain history, and certain value on which they have grown the organization. And I think these startups must understand that it's not just that they are bringing an innovative solution, but if they have to grow the. There is a good match between them and the industry.
You're hit on the nail. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. And yes, not just the product. I think the driving point that what you're making is the systems, the values, those also should largely marry between the organizations. Then only the things will. तब तो बताली बचता है नहीं तो वो हो नहीं पाएगा. I think totally agree with your point. So moving on to the global perspective, I would like to invite Richa in terms of understanding her own perspectives. I mean, she has been on the board of many startups in Europe, and according to you, what is it that do you think that the collaborations have been there in the European ecosystem, and how they have paid out? And are there any pointers for both the players or the stakeholders? I mean, not just the industry players as well as the startup players. Of course, there are other stakeholders like the incubators, the government policy owners. So all the stakeholders. Do you have any pointers for that one?
Thanks for the question. See, I believe that collaboration doesn't happen because it's easy, but it happens because it's necessary. There is a necessity either from the other party that collaboration happens. And I'll give you two examples from the European side. 87% of people in the European Union, according to the European Commission, believe that there need to be green transition targets set around technologies and the collaboration. So when it comes to green transition technologies and developing that, it becomes imperative that the academia, the industry, and the startups work in perfect tandem to bring these green technologies to market as soon as possible. So I was actually very happy to hear from Mr. Mukul that things are changing in India, and we are seeing like a collective ecosystem and knowledge sharing is happening. It's been decades that they have been on the same page. Everybody drives the same agenda. Though there is strategic roadmap that every company has, but the first farming, so everybody is joining forces to further the mission of the industry, and that is, I think, extremely heartwarming to hear that things are changing, because I believe that's exactly what we in India that's been missing, because there's so much knowledge, so much talent, the best brains, but we just need to sort of put it together in a much better way. So yeah, that really delights me to hear that.
Yeah. Thanks, Richa. I think the point that what you're trying to drive is, of course, each and every player has their own strategic roadmap. But as a nation, they have one common agenda where they come together and then they contribute equally as or otherwise to the extent that what they can do for furthering the interests of the nation. And I think that's a key point. With the TMA as a forefront for the representing the farm mechanization as well as the startup community, I think going forward, I think these things can certainly happen with the active participation of the stalwarts like Mukul, Keshavan, and other players in this industry.
Yeah, now if I could add that it also translates on the ecosystem level. For farm mechanization, for example, if you create an ecosystem which has win-win situations for everyone, then the whole collective force becomes stronger. For example, the sub-component ecosystem. Do we have the length and breadth of the sub-component ecosystem which are necessary to drive that farm mechanization? So I think a common ecosystem with common policies and common interests, it not only helps the big players, but it also helps the startups at the end of the day and the end customer ultimately.
Wonderful, great point, Richa. Great note. So on that note, would like to move to the next, the aspect of the discussion. So Mukul sir, I mean, the startups as such, when you look at the startup, backgrounds, I mean, which are currently operating in the farm mechanization space, or the the non-mechanization space within the agriculture. What it has attracted is it has attracted a lot of good talent. I mean, you can see a lot of software industry people. Yeah. Okay. So it has attracted lot of the best of the best talents from the different industries. Like I was talking about, be the software industries, particularly the software industries. Many people have left their jobs, started their own startups, or otherwise they have come back to their farming. You see a lot of stories, hearing. I mean, in the Indian ecosystem, for that matter. However, what I feel is that, of course, I mean, since they don't have that kind of a requisite background in the ag space, I mean, what might be? I think it's a good idea to discuss. I mean, what are the key priority areas that what you think? I mean, the startup should focus on, so that they will have a quick cash flow, so that survival becomes easy, and then they can take it from there.
Dr. Nijgun, can I cite an example? A startup is somebody who starts from a scratch, right?
Correct.
Now, anybody who starts with a scratch, either in a new country, established in another country, is also a startup. I mean, we were Absolutely. A startup when we started 25 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it's important and prudent for any startup company to have a mission in mind, to have a vision in mind. And the vision has to be in the national interest and in the interest of the consumer. Now, there are many startups who actually start because I have the capability and I want to bring a solution and make money. Then the whole purpose of a startup gets defeated.
Absolutely.
The fundamental should be, I need to start this so that my customers benefit, they make money, and the nation gets progressive, and the nation makes money. If we start with that fundamental, your code, your DNA on the day one will be a commitment which will be at a very different level. I'll give you one more example. When we started this company here in India, we were a net importer of every component from nuts, bolts. Today, we are 100% indigenous company. We have more than 400 suppliers locally. So revenue sharing model has emerged. I gain, you gain. We have more than 10 lakh customers because we want the customers also to win. We have more than 600 dealers. We want the dealers also to win. And we want to bring a technology in the country where the government's vision and mission to bring the cost of the farmer down, help him produce more, help him improve his income is also met. So the startups must have this philosophy and DNA from day one in order to be successful, in order to be scalable and sustainable. I would just ask my colleagues in case if they want to add something to what I just shared.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the comments that they need to be cognizant and high with higher purpose. What I see is also that a lot of times the technologies that they are bringing are solving certain portion of the solution, and to our earlier comment, like if there are tie-ups with the traditional experienced let's say equipment manufacturer, or maybe some other production system community, I think it will it will give the greater solution at the end. So for example, there is a startup that has a soil moisture sensor, and they give you solution according to that. But what exactly do you do with that information, right? I have a data, but I need to do some decision making on that, and then ultimately I need to have a solution which is probably in the
from the irrigation point of view or my planting point of view. So how do I communicate that to the equipment? So that has to be there in the ecosystem. And I think Mukul sir rightly said that the ultimate purpose is to benefit the farming community, not only from the profitability perspective, but lot of time that we see that there is a drudgery that we experience. There is a workforce that is getting strained. So how are we providing the solutions with our startup idea, which is solving certain pain points, either from the work perspective or the profitability perspective or the efficiency perspective? I think if we have that as a vision, I think that will be a holistic solution that we will be bringing.
Agreed, Amit, on that. On that note, this is a question to Ms. Richa. Denmark has, I mean, you operate from Denmark, and then obviously, I mean, I have seen Denmark has produced some of the best companies. I mean, particularly in the robotics area. Just to give an examples like the Agri, the Farm Droid apps, which where you have invested yourself in that particular company. And there are many such startups which have been really successful in the last few years, to say, let's say around 5 to 6 years time span. So what are the key success factors you think that that has led them to the stage that what they are?
Well, elsewhere in the world, here in Europe and also many other parts of the world, the problem that makes the startups not take off is overfunding, and then overfunding leading to overcomplication of technology. So I think Indian startups have a very good chance to be successful, because I'm pretty sure that there's no problem of overfunding necessarily there.
That's right.
And we from the get-go, we have to bring the dollar to the mile approach. So there's a great chance that simple and efficient solutions can be coming out of Indian startups. But if I have to say that we have to be careful about, if we want to dominate the global market, then the product has to be of export quality. And I think that's something that I see time and time again, that the export quality, the quality is not a preference. It's like, it's good enough, but it's maybe good enough for the local user, but it's not good enough for export. So unfortunately, this whole jugaad concept, it works good for the startups, but also for a very negative way if you want to sort of expand. And then you asked about what is it that is different, and why do you can say that particularly Danish startups are doing well. I believe that there's an approach of making the user part of the solution in the technology. So make the product for an intelligent user and not a dumb user. So a little bit Mr. Amit was touching on that. You don't really need to make end-to-end technology which does 100% of the solution that is required. Think about the user as an intelligent user and give the technology as a tool so that they can customize and they can perhaps make the tool, use the tool in a better way. So that is sort of a very unique approach I have seen. So this translates into open source products. This translates into open platforms, which invite the user to be sort of part of the solution, and that is a game changer.
I agree with you, Richa. I think that's the point that what you're mentioning, partnering with the user, particularly the intelligent user, is the most important critical factor. While what I have seen within the within the Indian ecosystem, I would say maybe I think they come up with the technology first. Like I know this technology. Let me work on this technology and get the products to the market. I think that approach is not a great approach, I would say. I think what you're exactly saying is that of course we have the technology domain expertise, but bringing bringing meaning to that particular technology can happen only with association with the active users. I think that's a great point to note, Richa. I think we all, as a startup community, I think we should consider this point very, very important, as well as the point of the note that we from a to become the startups to become very globally competitive. I think we had to go beyond the jugaad mindset and think exportable concept. Or the quality per. So to Mukul sir, I think I'm also ex John Deere, and I'm coming from that particular angle. I have seen the stories, or been a part of journey of the John Deere, particularly in the early parts of 20s. So where the John Deere is, many people credit John Deere as a company which has brought the technology to the Indian agriculture, particularly the tractor industry. Just to give an example, this is the first company that brought the power steering technology to the industry, which nobody was working on that, and they didn't bring that one, and that changed. Each and every competitor adopted the same strategy, and they try to make the difference to the farmers' lives, and including, I think, where I was personally a part of the journey was the establishment of the crop solutions. You were heading that particular division as a separate business vertical, and I know a lot of genuine efforts were made. Okay, in terms of establishing that division, and then bringing the kind of the farm mechanization that what it wants to, than the tractorization which we have witnessed in India. I think there were a lot of investments and the genuine efforts have been made. But I think, somewhere, to that extent also, I think many of the competition also got into that bandwagon, and then they started their own divisions of crop solutions. Each and every company reacted to that particular force. So, but however, collectively as an industry, I think we have not made a significant. This is my personal take. I might be wrong, but but I think we have not made a significant stride in terms of bringing the kind of the thing that, or the impact, the kind of the impact that what we wanted to bring. So can you share a certain level of post-mortem analysis so that our startups won't get into the same pitfalls? Can you unmute?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
सर एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ. हेलो
सर, थोड़ा सा maybe 10-20 मिनट दे दीजिए, हम क्वेश्चन ले लेंगे बीच में.
इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर और इंडियन फार्मर को भी सेंटर में रखिएगा. आज की ये प्रेजेंटेशन, ये सेशन इंटरेस्टिंग हो जाएगा.
जी
हो जाएगा.
बिल्कुल.
थोड़ा सा ट्रैक्टराइजेशन से भी थोड़ा हटके बोलिएगा. सब कुछ ट्रैक्टराइज.
हाँ जी, नोटेड सर. वही बात हो रहा था कि जॉन डियर ने ट्रैक्टराइजेशन के अलावा क्रॉप सोल्यूशन का एक डिवीजन लेकर आया था. वो क्रॉप सोल्यूशन का डिवीजन ये था कि मकसद था कि हाउ डू यू ब्रिंग द मीनिंगफुल क्रॉप solutions or the farm or the crop based farm mechanization solutions to the farmers, Indian farmers. तो कहीं ना कहीं ये चीज आगे नहीं बढ़ा. इसके लिए मैं मुकुल से मैं पूछना चाहता था कि क्या चीज है कि हम आगे नहीं बढ़ पाए, ताकि और अभी कैन यू गिव एन फ्रेश स्टार्ट फॉर दैट वन. इसके लिए ये पॉइंट वही से उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है ये सर. किसी ने आपने पूछा, ये वो उस पॉइंट से ही हुए बेसिकली.
तो थैंक्स. और डॉक्टर डीपी सिंह, आपका सवाल काफी वाजिब है, और हमको बहुत खुशी हुई कि आपने बीच में ऐसा प्रस्ताव रखा जिससे थोड़ा सा हम अपना दिशा भी बदलेंगे और इसको ऐसा मीनिंगफुल संवाद रखेंगे ताकि आपकी भी बात हमको समझ में आए और हम जो शेयर करना चाह रहे हैं वो भी आपकी और देश की और किसान की उन्नति के लिए लाभदायक हो। वही मिशन से हम बात करेंगे। डॉक्टर निजगुन ने जो बात बताई कि जॉन डियर ने आज से कई वर्ष पहले 11-12 वर्ष पहले सारे क्रॉप सॉल्यूशंस को हिंदुस्तान में लॉन्च करने का प्रयास किया था। उसमें से कुछ सक्सेसफुल हुए और काफी कुछ विफल भी हो गए। उसके विफल होने का मुख्य कारण था सरकार की नीतियां। आपको हम बताएं, किसान की जरूरत हमेशा से रही है कि प्रगतिशील और इनोवेटिव सॉल्यूशन कैसे लाया जाए, लेकिन चूंकि एग्रीकल्चर बहुत ज्यादा सरकार की तरफ से प्राथमिक सब्जेक्ट है और महत्वपूर्ण सब्जेक्ट है, यहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट की नीतियां उसको सक्सेस करने में या उसको विफल करने में बहुत अहम भूमिका निभाती हैं। मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल देना चाहता हूँ कि जब जॉन डियर ने आज से 11 साल पहले बेलर रेक लेके आए थे कॉटन के ऊपर, और डॉक्टर निजगुन स्वयं कॉटन मिशन में काफी हद तक उन्होंने काम किया था। कॉटन में अगर हमको किसी विकसित देश के जैसे कॉटन की क्रॉप पे काम करना है तो उसमें एक क्रॉप केयर का बहुत बड़ा होता है, जहां पे डिफोलिएंट और ग्रोथ रेगुलेटर्स का इस्तेमाल होता है। जी। उस समय सरकार की नीति इन मॉलिक्यूल्स को हिंदुस्तान में वितरण करने की या इंपोर्ट करने की नहीं थी, और कितना भी हमने मशीनीकरण और सारी पद्धति पे काम करने के बावजूद भी चूंकि ये पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क नहीं था, इस वजह से उसका आज तक मैकेनाइजेशन सॉल्यूशन पूरा नहीं आया है। उसकी बुवाई कैसे होनी चाहिए, क्रॉप केयर कैसी होनी चाहिए, उसकी कटाई कैसे होनी चाहिए। बहुत से देश हैं चाइल्ड पिक्ड कॉटन को बैन करके रखे हैं। महिलाएं जब कॉटन पिक करती हैं तो अगर उनके बड़े बाल उसमें फंस जाते हैं तो कॉटन ए ग्रेड से सी ग्रेड हो जाती है, क्योंकि वो कंटेमिनेट हो जाती है। तो इस टाइप की बहुत सारी किसानों को समस्याएं थी, जिसकी वजह से कॉटन का एडवांसमेंट नहीं हो पाया। आज के दौर में अगर हम देखें, हमारे राज साहब हमारे साथ में हैं और ये स्टैंडर्ड्स और इस पे सेफ्टी पे बहुत काम करते हैं। सरकार ने बहुत सारे स्टैंडर्ड्स बना दिए हैं, सरकार ने बहुत सारी नीतियों में परिवर्तन ला दिया है। एग टेक को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए एक केंद्रित दिशा दे दी है सभी स्टेट्स को। तो आज का जो माहौल है, आज का माहौल मैकेनाइजेशन की तरफ से, सॉल्यूशंस की तरफ से, स्टार्टअप्स की तरफ से एक बहुत ही अनुकूल माहौल है, जो कि 11 साल पहले नहीं था। इसलिए हमारी लाख कोशिश करने के बाद बहुत सारी चीजें सफल हो पाई, लेकिन बहुत सारे हम कहते हैं वी लर्न द लेसन्स एंड वी लर्न द लेसन्स बाय फेलिंग, and failing is actually adding to your experience, because then you know what is that you should do right to be successful, right? So I would ask Raj to talk about several laws that have been changed, several reforms that have come, which is now causing a far more robust and an enabling environment for partnership, for solutions, and for advancement of mechanization. Over to you, Mr. Raj.
So, first of all, thanks. It was a really good question. बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन था कि ट्रैक्टर के बाहर हम इसमें क्या क्या कर रहे हैं। तो अगर हम दो चीज को देखें कि इसके दो हिस्से रहेंगे, एक तो कि स्टैंडर्ड क्या डेवलप हो रहा है और उससे रिलेटेड हमारा रेगुलेशंस भी क्या क्या आ रहा है। स्टैंडर्ड में अगर हम देखें तो जितने भी मशीन है मैकेनाइजेशन के, चाहे तो वो कंबाइन का हो या वो बेलर हो या वो स्ट्रॉ मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम, जो आजकल कंबाइन जो होते हैं, वो जब राइस की हार्वेस्टिंग हो जाती है उससे जो बचा हुआ रहता है स्टेम को काटने के लिए, उसमें उसके से रिलेटेड स्टैंडर्ड से उससे क्या कर सकते हैं। तो रेगुलेशन पर्सपेक्टिव अगर हम जाते हैं तो ये देखना पड़ेगा कि गवर्नमेंट ने इसमें सबसे पहले जो है वो सिर्फ राइस और व्हीट नहीं, लेकिन बाकी के भी जितने भी क्रॉप हैं उसको भी वो लोग सब्सिडी देने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। एमएसपी देने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस। दूसरी, सब्सिडी के थ्रू इन जितने भी मशीन हैं उनको आगे बढ़ाया जा रहा है कि कैसे हम इसमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इसको खरीद पाए. More and more customers to be included in this through the subsidy sell, as well as the MSP to the different crops. So these are the few things which have come, but apart from this, there are many other things which government has brought, which promotes the sale of not only the tractor but the entire um, equipment which is required for mechanization. अभी हमको पता है कि if we talk about the mechanization, इंडिया में शायद 45 से 50% के बीच में हम हैं, जबकि बाकी के देशों में हम चले जाएं तो ये 90-95% अब कॉमन हो गया है. और ये जो डिस्कशन है यहाँ, टॉपिक इज अबाउट startup, and startup can play the most important role in raising this bar from 45% to 85% or so. I'm not saying any number, but definitely यही लोग ये जो एक सिस्टम है, ये जो पूरा एक इकोसिस्टम है स्टार्टअप का, they can play the most important role here. So because all the new technologies will be coming from them. Yes, that's it. Dr. Herman.
Yeah, I totally agree, Anand. I think the tractor has already done its own bit, basically. I mean, they have done their job. I mean, they're advancing for that matter.
Absolutely.
Now, looking at the mechanization, just to take an example, in the root crops, I mean, there are hardly any harvesters. Okay, be it potato, be it be groundnut, be it be the turmeric, lasoons, जो भी आप crop लेते हो वहाँ पे harvesters है ही नहीं है. Okay. Now, I think it's most important. Now it's a time for the startups to make a difference in that kind of area. Okay. Because for the reason that the government is giving a lot of funds, I think the onus is on our side to bring meaningful innovations into this area, and then have a collaboration between the big players, like what we talked earlier in the session. I think that's the way I think I feel personally. I feel a way forward for that one, to address the needs of the actual farm mechanization for that matter. Now, I'll just, and since we're running out of time, I think I'll rush with certain further questions. On the electrification, I think, there's been a lot of buzz among the electrification. So on that note, I would like to seek the viewpoints of Ms. Richa. European ecosystem seems like that. There's a lot of they have already done. They are advanced in the game of electrification. So do you see a scope for the Indian ecosystem to play around with that, and then also play in the global market as well?
Yeah. So see, electrification already happened in most of the Europe kind of decades back. They have also here been ahead for it, but there is a renewed sense of pressure for faster electrification due to the green transition ambitions that I was talking about earlier, as well as the war or the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. That has really made it eminent that there is no other way to go forward except for really building robust systems on the electrification. And particularly, you mentioned about Indian startups playing a role in here in Europe. I would say that it's, to be honest, the regulations and IT environment is so vastly different that it would be difficult for sort of Indian startups being in India to make an impact. I believe that the domestic markets and the domestic local markets present far more better opportunities, which are low-hanging fruits, which will help these startups to get to revenue quickly. And I also like to your point earlier, Mr. Nagarjun, that it's very important that you show traction in the market quickly, and you get to revenue, you get to proof of technology quickly. So I think local markets would be better for Indian startups in terms of electrification.
Yeah. Thanks for that note, Richa. Going forward, I think there's some questions related to the precision agriculture as well as the farming as a service, okay, as a business model. I think I would like to take up that one, which has been a part of the discussion which I wanted to have. First is, particularly farming as a business. Mukul sir, I think many efforts have been made, okay, by the Indian players, particularly, of course, the startups as well, including some other companies also, like a farming as a service, like Uberization of tractors on a rental-based model. Okay. In fact, I have been a part of the story while I was there in the Escos Crop Solutions. We have, in fact, I failed 2 times, and the third time in the COCO model, where company-owned, company-operated model, we could hit a revenue of around 8 crore rupees. But however, I think I personally felt that the scale up is a big challenge. Okay, in terms of you can create a lot of POCs. Okay, and operating at a very limited number of machineries and all those things. And also, I think Karnataka government around 75% to 90% of them are the subsidies. In spite of those efforts, I think we somewhere take that particular model forward. So do you think is there something that we need to give a fresh look? Because that's the one model where everybody bets on in terms of delivering the services to the small and marginal farmers, particularly from the farmer organization perspective. Or do you think the Chinese model, where they have pursued a small machinery strategy, okay, they are trying to miniaturize each and every machinery for that matter. So where do you think is a way forward for us? And hence, maybe the startups can look into that particular point and then pursue their efforts accordingly.
So the farm as a service has been a very historical phenomena in India. If you look at the farmers in Punjab, they actually bring their combines all the way to Maharashtra. They keep harvesting and go back to Punjab. And the cycle is such: the crop in Maharashtra first matures, then in MP, and then parts of Western UP. And then by the time they go back in Punjab, the crop starts maturing there. So it's been there for a long time. Yes, it's been unorganized. Similarly, services from tractors, implements has also been there, but they have all been in an unorganized environment. Now, when the government saw that many small and marginal farmers don't have access to technologies, and the first one, and Dr. Nijgun, you were there when we did the first program along with government of Gujarat, a PPP model of bringing services to the doorsteps of the farmers. It was very successful because the metrics was very clear in that. Interference by the government was not too much. The reason why Karnataka failed a little bit, despite they giving 75% subsidy, is because they wanted to track the use of every machine, and they wanted to keep the rental price low just because they are giving the subsidy there. Now that doesn't work. The second challenge was that each center was implement heavy. Now they actually forced the service provider to buy implements that were barely used for 3 to 4 hours in a year. Now your capital has gone, despite that you have subsidized, but there were several implements, and there were only 4 or 5 implements that were being used for 200 to 250 hours every